Thanks everyone for joining today. Today I want to answer the question: should I pursue a 4 year degree, a traditional degree, a boot camp, or go the self taught route when looking to break into data science and software engineering? As a preface, the market today is different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Dev jobs were in high demand, and companies were a lot more willing to take risk on somebody who may not have had a traditional job before, who had recently graduated from boot camps. And today the market's different. Only the more distinguished developers end up making it there. I feel uniquely positioned to comment on these different these different educational pathways. I have a 4 year degree. I studied. I started my career as a self-taught dev, and I taught at a boot camp. Now, my degree is not in computer science or statistics or kind of the traditional pathways, but I do have a 4 year degree nonetheless. And as you can see, it's in accounting. Not as you can see, but it is in accounting, and I went the route of becoming a developer. So 4 year degrees don't always lead exactly into the career path, nice and neat. Boot camps, colleges can be a great thing. There are learners who genuinely need and want a structured curriculum with a support staff to help and guide you through your journey. But the content that you're going to learn there is readily available. It's available and it's free. On YouTube, Udemy, those were my resources as I was going through the learning path there. So I say that the key word in today's market is distinction. If you're unable to distinguish yourself from the rest of the pack, you're going to struggle. As a story to kind of help illustrate what I think the mentality needs to be for a developer to have success, I've got a story that illustrates that. There was a world-renowned scientist who on the weekends would teach his children in the basement, like science, physics. He had a chalkboard, and his kids would sit at desks, and he would write problems up on the board and explain the scientific principles and how to solve these certain principles. One week particularly, they finished on a difficult problem, and he told his son, "Okay, let's go. We'll finish this next week." The son goes throughout the week, comes back the following weekend, and the father says, "Did you figure out the answer to the problem?" The son says, "No, I was waiting for you to show me." And the father says, "Well, what do you mean? Like, didn't you think about this during the week? Like, what do you think about when you're not doing anything, when you're in the shower, when you've got, time to think? What do you think about?" And the son says, "Well, not this." And it's at that point when the father realizes, okay, my son is not really into this. And he doesn't have the passion to be able to fully pursue a career in physics. And so the father more or less says, "All right, well, go play with your friends," and I believe that in today's market, that's kind of the mentality that's required. And that might be a good litmus test for yourself as you go through your learning process. When you're not actively working on anything, do you think about how to solve, how to figure out the problem that you couldn't get your program to run, how to figure out how to center that div, how to get your model to come out with with a little bit of a better accuracy? Are those the things you think about, or when you're not working, do you literally not think about your work at all? Not that that's the nail in the coffin, but I would think that if you're wanting to distinguish yourself in this market, having that inquisitive mind that is constantly on the problems is something that can help propel you to success. There is Warren Buffett, famous investor. He had a saying about about people and their investment strategies during bad times. And he says, when the tide goes out, you can see who is skinny dipping. Meaning that if the economy or certain market forces are not great, anyone who was finding success may now find themselves totally exposed. We're kind of experiencing that right now in the tech world, where somebody may have been able to even get a high-paying six-figure job within tech, and now that market forces have kind of shifted a little bit, tech firms are a little bit slower to staff as they were, 2 to 4 years ago. It's becoming a little bit more difficult to find success there. However, I still believe that the cream rises. You may also think, as you are, evaluating your different educational prospects, if you have the right background to be able to break into tech, to which I say that's poppycock. I'm a believer of the mantra of Chef Gusteau: anyone can cook. Whatever your technical background, if you're tenacious, have the inquisitive mind, and enjoy solving problems, you can figure this out and you can make it work. So, as I finish up here, a lot of the times these videos end with someone saying, well, there's pros and cons to each route. Figure out what works for you and, go from there. And I have an opinion. I have a very strong opinion. I think that if you want to pursue a career in tech as a developer or a data scientist, you need to start off with being self-taught. I think, one, it's cheap, it's often free, risk-free, and requires the, kind of a low time commitment. And I mean that by saying you don't have to quit your job to watch YouTube videos. Some people do. But you can easily go the self-taught route while still working in a normal job. And from there, a couple things will happen to you. One, you will figure out, this is not for me. And I think somebody that pursues the self-taught route, tries to follow YouTube videos, tries to do Udemy courses, they will figure out that this is either for them or not for them without spending 11, 12 grand on a boot camp or, having to pay full tuition fees. Or the second thing that can happen to them is that they can start on that course and say, I really enjoy doing this. I want to do this. However, I need more of a structured learning environment here. In which case, boot camp, CS degree could be the way to go for you. Or what also could happen, what happened to me, is you go down the self-taught path and think, there is nothing that is going to stop me from this. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to learn everything that I can, and I will be successful. Nothing's going to stop me, and you'll find that all the resources are available. If you network hard, you'll be able to find people that are willing to help you, including myself. You can reach out to me anytime. I've reached out to people that just find me on LinkedIn, and I look at their GitHub portfolios and say, hey, this code looks good, or you really need to structure it like this. This is how they do it in a production setting. These are the technologies you need to look at. Locally, you'll find code meetups. Knowledge is available and economical. That is the wonderful thing about today, is that if you want the knowledge, you'll be able to find it. So that is why I always recommend the self-taught dev route, at least to start. I would recommend do it the whole way through, because I believe once you come out the other end, either of a CS degree, boot camp, or a self-taught route, when you start applying, your footing is pretty well equal. I don't think, yes, there are certain jobs out there where it's like, well, we only take from, certain universities, but there are still plenty of jobs out there for developers who've just distinguished themselves who have introduced themselves to the right people, who've networked, and have an awesome body of work to show I know the technologies. I know how to make things look good. I know how to make things work well. I know how to make things perform well. And if you've got that, again, along with networking, you can still find success, even in today's market. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're in that situation, I wish you all the luck, all the best. Thank you.